chill. This is huge. Loki season 2 and Kang reveals, explains. Let's see what and then the words to say about this and check this out.
Marvel fans are incredibly excited for Loki Season 2. And this is mostly because of Kang, the Multiverse, and Secret Wars. Sorry, Loki, but it's true. I mean, after all, Loki Season 1 was the foundation for understanding the multiversal saga, for meeting Kang the Conqueror, and for setting up Avengers Secret Wars. And recently, there have been some really fascinating leaks and reports about Loki Season 2 that we need to dive into. So first up in this video, we will talk about the brand new reports which seem to do with the character Victor Timely from the comics. Then we'll talk about some of the other scoops, leaks, and rumors for Loki Season 2. Finally, I want to talk about why I think the character of Loki will become something from the comics known as Avengers Prime, and he will show up in Avengers Secret Wars to essentially save the day and help defeat Kang. So let's first talk about this brand new report. Now, this is coming from Daniel RPK, and it's actually a series of two separate reports. Initially, about a week ago, there were reports coming from Daniel that there will be various Kang variants in Loki Season 2, and that Jonathan Majors was recently shooting some stuff for Loki Season 2, likely a lot of these smaller cameo roles. But then what he just reported about, which has to do with one of those variants of Kang, is fascinating and has a lot of people talking. The report is that one of the variants we will meet in Loki Season 2 will be very similar to the Victor Timely variant of Kang from Marvel Comics. In the report on his Patreon, Daniel describes a new variant that is an investor in the past. This investor apparently wants to buy some specific things in order to affect the future. And there was a comment made on the Patreon post asking if he thought this was Victor Timely, and Rickman said he wasn't sure. Now, a quick TLDR on Victor Timely from the comics. He is a Kang variant that travels back in time to the year 1901 in order to plan his more modern day or present day conquest. He actually establishes a small town known as Timely in Wisconsin. He becomes the mayor of the town and helps to set up industry. And he does the Kingo thing from the Eternals, where he keeps pretending to be his own descendant, and after a long time he invents technology that leads to the creation of the original Human Torch that was an android, and he helps to make some equipment for Mr. Fantastic and Misty Knight. And this is pretty crazy, of course, because if they do have this variant in the MCU, and he was a character established in 616, it could even mean that Kang, or a variant of Kang, was involved in setting things up for a lot of what we've seen in the Infinity Saga. Like, we've already seen the Synthetic Man, who is seemingly a MCU version of the original Human Torch, and we see this at the Stark Expo in Captain America: The First Avenger. And we've also heard rumors that the Fantastic Four movie in the MCU is going to take place in the 1960s, or at least partially in the 1960s. There are a couple of different things that I think could be going on here with this investor Victor Timely type of variant. I mean, first of all, it could be that this variant is affecting things to make sure that Stark Industries becomes a thing, so that Tony Stark will eventually create time travel in Avengers Endgame. And again, the synthetic man that was seen at the Stark Expo really does make me think that there could be some connection to this variant that we will meet in Loki Season 2. It could also be the case that this old investor variant is just trying to get the 10 rings or the bangles, as we are learning more and more that these objects are going to be very important to Kang in the future MCU movies, and possibly even in Avengers Secret Wars. It also could simply be the Pym particles themselves. It seems like Pym particles are important for Kang the Conqueror. They're also important for how time travel is accomplished, at least what we've seen in Avengers Endgame for time travel. This could all be a setup to make it so that this guy is the person that takes Reed Richards out of the equation. Maybe we'll come to find out that in the Fantastic Four movie, this Victor Timely dude actually convinces Reed Richards and his family to go on some kind of mission which traps them in the quantum realm or the negative zone or somewhere where he won't be able to stop Kang in the present. But another really crazy aspect of Loki Season 2 is this rumor that there'll be many different versions of Kang. Like, perhaps we'll meet Mr. Griffin. Mr. Griffin was a variant of Kang that exists in the present day. He's trapped in the 21st century, and so instead of waiting and trying to, like, get to his future, he just does Enterprise in the present day. He purchases Stark Tower, and we've even seen something that looks like Kang Tower or Quang Tower in Loki Season 1. It's just really fascinating to think that we might start to see Kang set up in Loki Season 2 as all of these different variants, and then we might come to realize that Kang is actually involved in a lot of things going on in Marvel projects currently. Like, it already feels like it's the case that He Who Remains wrote the script of the entire Infinity Saga. The sacred timeline as we knew it was mostly controlled by this individual, although there's still the possibility that there were these fixed moments in time, something that's explored in the What If show, so perhaps he couldn't just make time the way he absolutely wanted it to be. But regardless, He Who Remains was certainly a caterer of time. But now that he is gone, it would be really interesting if other versions of Kang begin to pop up and perhaps are even placed into things going on in the past and show that the Marvel Cinematic Universe is changing. Its past is changing. Different things are happening. Or perhaps we'll just retcon the way things are understood currently to fit in to Kang or Kang variants tinkering in the past. And I know that's really timey-wimey and confusing as heck, but that does seem to be something that could happen if you're going to introduce all these different variants of Kang. Now, the next thing we got to talk about is some of the other recent leaks, which are pretty damn crazy, and this, of course, all has to do with Loki Season 2. One of the crazy reports out there that's sort of not being talked about a lot is that you'll end up realizing that a very old version of Sylvie is actually the person that is controlling the TVA in Loki Season 2. Like, I've even heard that this old variant of Sylvie is actually going to be the main villain of Loki Season 2, and you'll think that it's Kang that's sort of doing crazy things and trying to stop Loki in the series, but you'll sort of end up realizing that it's actually Sylvie. And I think this will mean that the Sylvie that kills He Who Remains and just stays in the Citadel is actually, like, ancient, so that by the time Loki comes to realize that she's now in charge of everything, millennia and eons of time will have passed, and that she is essentially He Who Remains. And there's also an interesting leak about a concept called the Time Loom, which we don't know a lot about, but it seems to be something going on with the TVA. And so, whereas in the first season of Loki, it seemed like they had these straight ropes of timelines that were just kept kind of congruent, it now seems like with all of the branching, the TVA is perhaps instead now trying to weave the timelines into each other to prevent crazy incursions and to prevent, bad variant timelines from happening. I think that might end up being the work of Sylvie as He Who Remains. What she does to try to keep the universe together is figure out a way to utilize the TVA to weave the different timelines together so that they don't have these harsh collisions and so that they prevent Kang from taking over all of the different time streams. And that kind of took me to an idea that perhaps season 2 of Loki will end with Loki himself replacing Sylvie, having to actually end her life or send her back into the time stream, and then he takes over for her as He Who Remains. Remember, He Who Remains originally wanted Loki and Sylvie to take over for him. And I know we're getting really sweaty and nerdy here, but there are a lot of rumors suggesting that He Who Remains, or a reincarnation of He Who Remains, will actually be a Kang variant on the side of the heroes in Secret Wars. That you'll have Kang the Conqueror as the main big bad, but you'll have He Who Remains working with the heroes to recruit multiversal Avengers to then take out Kang the Conqueror. But according to Paul from Heavy Spoilers, due to timey wiminess, this version of He Who Remains will not remember anything. This will essentially be his first time through the time stream. And this has led me to that theory that what's going to end up happening is Loki killing Sylvie, taking over as He Who Remains, and then perhaps eventually coming out at just the right moment or the right time to aid all of the heroes in destroying Kang the Conqueror, and then allowing He Who Remains to take back over the role of the Master of Time. And this would sort of make sense as to why then He Who Remains would eventually bring Loki and Sylvie back to the time stream to recreate the loop so that he could therefore take back over. And another reason that I think this could work is that there's a crazy comic book run right now going on with Avengers Forever. This is a new version of Avengers Forever, different than the one from the 90s, but still really cool. And in this Avengers Forever run, there is a character known as Avengers Prime, and there's a lot of rumors to suggest that Avengers Prime is actually Loki. And that this is a version of Loki who has been through the time streams multiple different times, has every artifact imaginable, is incredibly powerful with his knowledge of cosmic stuff, magic, and just the inner workings of the Marvel multiverse. And this version of Loki, Avengers Prime, seems like he's going to come in and sort of save the day, thwarting a crazy Doctor Doom and a group of villains that are trying to take over the multiverse. And we know that Kevin Feige is super open to adapting more modern comic book stories in the MCU. I mean, we're hearing that Eternals 2 is going to end up adapting a lot of the Judgment Day comic book run, which like literally just wrapped up. And I gotta say, I personally think that would be so damn cool if in the middle of Secret Wars, Loki shows up out of nowhere to do something really cool to give the heroes an upper hand. It would be a really cool full circle arc for that character, the guy that they said was destined to lose, now coming in and being destined to save the entire multiverse and help the heroes win. I think it would be kind of poetic justice for the Loki character. Either way, the leaks and the reports for Loki Season 2 are seeming really cool. I'm so damn excited to check out Quantumania and then learn even more about Kang and the multiverse and what the heck is going on in Loki Season 2. Let me know if you're excited as well and what kind of theories and thoughts you have in the comment section below. Smash like on this video if you enjoyed it. Subscribe to this channel and subscribe to our live streaming channel because we give away dope nerdy things to lucky subscribers each and every month. And if you want to watch more, why not check out this video I just did breaking down the new leaks for Quantumania. I'm talking about major reveals for the character of Kang the Conqueror.
Subscribe, like this video. Have a great night. See you guys. Bye.